Welcome back to the couch. Video number 5.
Six.
Number 6. We've already done 5. This is number 6. Brought to you after England's victory yesterday. So well done. Oh, there's a thumbs up. Well done, Southgate. Well done, England. Fantastic result. Sorry to see the Germans fly home, but it is what it is.
And someone called Keane.
Keane.
Wasn't he a scorer? Did he score?
Kane? Harry Kane? Harry Kane.
Oh,
Yeah.
Harry Kane.
You didn't watch it, did you?
No.
Oh, my days. I need a new partner. Nominate yourself, come forward. But no, look, well done, England. Great result. Fantastic to see us go through. But look, this week's video has been requested by a chap who used to work for me, Matt Kyprianou. So thank you for requesting it. Matt,
Should we just call him Kip or Kipper?
or Kipper as we affectionately call him. For sure. And Kip used to work for me many years ago, same time as when Darren did.
And we both left.
And we both left. Yeah, funny that, isn't it? Cheers, mate. And he's gone on to have a great, successful career and is doing very well for himself. But anyway, Kip asked us to talk about crisis management. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today, or predominantly today, to be fair. A lot of it's going to be a little bit business orientated, but equally, we're going to talk about crisis management in terms of how to manage that in your personal life as well, because the two things are interlinked, and everything that goes into managing a crisis, whether it be professionally or personally, is pretty much the same thing. So I guess the first thing to say and to recognise anyway is a crisis is always going to happen. Whether it be in a professional world or whether it be in your personal life, you are going to come across many a crisis. Is that a fair comment?
You've just depressed them all.
I've just depressed them all. It's a fact of life, though. It's a fact of
Your
life.
Your life is just going to be a journey from crisis to crisis to crisis.
But it is a fact of life. There's no smooth road, is there? There is no smooth road in anything that you do. We often look at very successful people and we go, I want your life. But, we don't know what's going on in their life, and we don't know the journey that they've gone on to get to that point. And there is no doubt in my mind that they would have faced multiple crises. Is that even a word? Crises? Crises, that's the one, on that journey. So I think, the first thing to recognise is when you're faced with a crisis, don't fear it.
No, because if you expand crisis, you get Christmas.
Who's my mate? Yeah. But no, you're fundamentally right. Fundamentally number one.
Maybe we should run a sweepstake on how many fundamentalies there's going to be, and also how many 1 million%.
1 million%. Yeah, exactly. In particular, though, Matt wanted us to talk about how you manage change, and how you can avert that becoming a crisis, and how you can bring people on that journey with you, so you're not facing a people crisis. And one of the things that Matt and I have been chatting about leading up to this video is when you're dealing with a change, whether that change is being led by you or whether that change is forced because of a crisis, it's all about emotional intelligence and linking the balance between emotional intelligence with well thought out logic. And you came up with a great bit of a Trekkie. I mean, he won't know the football, but he's quite happy to use a Star Trek analogy. And I think that's quite poignant at this point. Do you want to?
Yeah. So it got me thinking that because I'm a visual person, I need to relate stuff to the world that I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, the first program I ever remember watching as a kid was Star Trek.
Yeah.
But if you take at the two principals in Star Trek, you've got Kirk and Spock.
Two very different people.
Spock will personify the logic, the well thought out decision-making process. Kirk is the emotional maverick, risk-taker. Probably a lot of his success comes out from a level of personal belief, because he's been through a number of crises.
Cheers, mate.
But Kirk was captain.
Yeah.
And Spock was first officer, which to me is a nice little analogy for our brain, because our old brain, I think they call it the limbic brain, that's an emotionally driven part of us.
Yeah, bit of science there.
And that's the stuff that is responsible for our behaviour.
Yeah.
And then we've got our new, more modern brain,
Yeah.
which is responsible for all the logical thought,
Correct.
the thinking things through, what's the consequences of this, and it's the marriage between the two.
Correct.
And the ability for the two to work together in harmony and balance.
Balance, key word. How many times have you heard us say balance, right?
Which results in a good outcome.
Correct. A more positive outcome.
A more positive outcome, or if it's not the outcome you want, seeing it as the learning experience for the next challenge, the next crisis.
Correct. Putting yourself out your comfort zone, reverting back to last week, and learning on that journey. And I think for me personally, one of the when Matt and I were messaging each other about this topic, Matt's worked for me, and in a management capacity, he was one of my leaders in a previous business, and I was very young. I was in my early 20s as a director of a company, very successful business, and I hadn't quite got that balance. I hadn't got that balance of my logical brain and my emotional part of my thinking and journey and process. And if anything, I was emotionally led. And to the point where if my leaders or my managers weren't getting the job done to my expectations, I would start a journey with them, I would coach and I would work with them. But if it got to the point where actually you're still not delivering that change still isn't happening, my emotions would take over, and my frustrations would take over. And I'll tell you a story, and I'm pretty sure Matt Kipper was in the room in this particular meeting. There was one particular meeting where we felt that our calls, we were losing opportunity within our sales calls. So we sat with the leadership team, and we'd done this for a number of weeks, and we were listening to some of their sales guys, and I became frustrated because the same mistakes that happened 3-4 weeks ago were still happening. And rather than logically go, okay, and ask the question, why do you guys think this is happening? And talk it through to understand their problem from their perspective, and then support them in turning that journey and implementing that change and bringing their guys on this journey with us. My emotions took over and my frustrations took over. And I took a problem and I turned it into a crisis, because my emotions got the better of me. I lost my temper. I'm not going to lie that. Poor leadership, without a doubt, and I'm not afraid to say that. To the point where I had male managers with tears in their eyes. And I look back on that time of my career now with great disappointment. Great disappointment. And bless Matt in some of the messages. Thank you very much. He said that I was a good leader to him, and that's lovely to hear. But equally, this topic brought that scenario back into my thought process. And had I got the balance between the two, I would have, I'm sure, if I'd approached it the way I would approach it now, we would have got the results 10 times quicker, because I would have included that management team as part of the problem resolving team.
Right.
And instead I was dictating how to resolve the problem, which disengaged them, reduced their buy-in, created fear. There is no doubt created fear. And I felt that they were probably coming to those sessions in the end fearing what they were going to hear, which straight away reduces your brain's capacity to absorb the quality information that I was trying to give them. Because I'm going to say.
No, I was just thinking that, well, the two things I was thinking is that when you're trying to resolve and get the status quo back to where it should be, or on the path that you want to be on, whether it be the personal one or whether it be the business one with goals to hit and stuff like that, I was just thinking about, the old type of scales. We have the plate on one side and something else on the other, and here's the problem, and the problem is has caused an imbalance. It's a process to get everything back into balance. So I don't think you should beat yourself up, because
thanks, mate.
when you Indiana Jones is there at the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he's trying to get that golden idol.
Such a geek.
And he's trying to think, is it this amount of sand in a bag that's going to weigh this off?
Yeah.
And you don't just go plonk, there's the solution. Yeah. It is a learning process.
How the hell do you remember that?
Because it just popped into my head. Okay. But it's incremental, isn't it?
Yeah.
You add a bit more on one side, you add a bit more on the other, until eventually you do get that balance. So I don't think you should beat yourself up.
No, but I don't. But it's all part of learning, isn't it?
Yeah.
And where I won't beat myself up is fortunately I've had the ability to learn. And it's funny that some of the conversations between Kip and myself, he was saying that he was the same as his leadership journey developed. He equally was very emotionally led, but through great peers and support, he's got that balance back, and I think going back to my story and linking that to Indiana Jones, rather than going through the process and enjoying the process and enjoying the journey and recognizing that it doesn't matter, we're going to get to the end point, we're going to get to point B from point A anyway. I trust my skills, I trust my leadership team. I was taking that bag of sand on those scales, and rather than adding a little bit here and taking a bit off here, I had a big old shovel. And I was dumping it on them like that. This is how you do it, guys. Dumping it on them.
My way or the highway.
It just went like that. And needless to say, it took us 10 times longer to achieve what we needed to achieve.
There's another book that springs to mind here, and I think it's called The Chimp Paradox.
Oh, yeah. I know that one.
And if I remember it rightly, just to shorten it, it's about how everybody's got a chimp inside them. And a chimp can be a fun, playful thing. That rolls around, has a laugh, and plays well with all the other chimps. But it can also just switch an instant and get aggressive and get irrational. And sometimes, if your chimp came out in that situation, then
my chimp's always coming out.
But it's a good book to read, because
I know the book.
When you're dealing with somebody, are you dealing with them or are you dealing with their chimp? And maybe you were a chimp in that, because you were just reacting and...
Mate, I wasn't a chimp, I was a silverback. I was proper beating my chest, and it didn't deliver results. And that's the point. And just to put a bit of context, it's the same in your personal life. Like I said at the beginning of this, we're always going to be faced with a crisis. Lord knows I've been faced with multiple crises, even recently, faced with crises of moving jobs and all the rest of it. And, but the reality is if we allow our emotions to get the better of us, you're going to reduce your ability to deal with that crisis and to deal with that change and to bring people with you on that change, whether it be personal, professional. And it's going to prolong your journey to get to the good point.
And one thing you could do, first of all, is be very wary of the language that you use. So, for example, in this, if you replace the word crisis, with the word crisis with the word opportunity.
I love that. I love that.
All of a sudden, the feeling inside is a lot more positive
1,000,000%.
Than, the shit is about to hit the fan and I'm stood right in front of the fan. This is not going to be pretty.
1 million. And you know what? I used that today at work. I was chatting to the business owner. We were talking about our conversion of a particular type of opportunity. And we both felt that the conversion wasn't where it needed to be. And we were talking through, and I gave my opinions on where I think the challenge is. And together, by talking it through, we know how we're going to approach this. We're not at solution mode yet. We're at journey mode. We're at the process mode. And I turned to him and I said, what really actually excites me about all of this. We could have called it, this is a crisis. We're wasting money on opportunity here. We're not converting enough. We're not getting the sales. Blah 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 blah. Panic. Stress. But actually, the way I said to him is, what really excites me is, if we know that we can improve this. That's a great opportunity for us as a business. And if you can learn how to manage personal crises, I'm learning, you can learn that emotional intelligence and learn how to link how you're feeling. We talked about this about anxiety. It's the same principle. Fears and anxiety, that's what makes a crisis worse. If you can link that to your logical thought process, the two brains that Darren was talking about, and understand it and take your time with it, then you will learn. And on that journey, you will learn. And when you manage that crisis, you'll look back and go, that wasn't too bad. I did all right.
Yeah. And then what does that do?
Well, you become stronger. You become stronger mentally. You become stronger emotionally. You become more resilient.
Yeah.
You can handle problems more effectively in the future.
Better prepared for the next crisis or challenge or opportunity.
1,000,000%.
And, and like you said, one of the best ways of getting over those obstacles is to have the help and the buy-in of others into that as well.
Yeah. 1,000,000%. And look, I think we can talk about this forever, but we're already about 15, 16 minutes. And for me, it's like the last thing I'm going to say on the topic, and we'll try and put some more on this as we go through these. But the last thing I'm going to say is a very intelligent man said to me at the back end of last year. I said a very intelligent man.
Okay.
I'm only joking, mate. You're a very intelligent man. No, he said to me...
that's why I have the glasses. I don't actually need them. They just make me look
good. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. But he said to me, he said, the more problems you go through in life, or in this scenario, the more crisis that you experience in life, the more qualified for life you are. And that's the last message I want to leave you with, really, is if you can link that emotional intelligence with that logical thought process and take the learnings, you'll become more qualified to deal with anything that this life has to throw at you, whether it be professionally or personally. That's it for me. I don't know if you want to say more.
Well, yeah, just what you said there. It makes you more qualified. And in my head, a qualification means that you've attained a certain level of understanding in order to then be of service to others.
Yeah, that's it. So get out there, guys. Honestly, if you want more on this, Google emotional intelligence, Google intelligence, Google crisis management. There is reams and reams and reams of information out there to help you personally or professionally. That's what I've done. I know that's what you do. We both do it all the time. I certainly know that's what Kip's done. That's why he wanted this topic. So get out there, learn how to manage those crises. Enjoy your life. Go out there. It's for the living. Don't let problems hold you back.
We have a crisis on our hands right now.
We're out of time.
We're out of time, and also, if we don't stop it now, then the crisis is going to be that our lasagna is going to be burnt.
Correct. Let's go eat.
See you later, guys.
See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Do your thing.